Oh, it's Romania Black, and a heat wave has come through just in time for New Year's. As I'm recording, it feels very appropriate. As I'm recording episode 15 of season 2 of Chihayafuru, and we are starting the final match, it feels appropriate that it's a new year, a new round of nationals competition, and it's the final match. After this, it's the individuals tournament to round out the rest of the season, I am assuming. So this match should be interesting, that's for sure, because I really like the semifinal match. That match was great. Megumu versus Chihaya was wonderful. Tsutomu coming in clutch. And somehow Kana has exhausted herself, seemingly, and Scuba's gonna take her place. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm really excited. There's supposed to be like a heat wave today. It's like 70 degrees outside, which is insane for this time of year. I'm recording this like right at the end of December, so it'll be out in time for New Year's on Patreon, week after on YouTube. And then like tomorrow it's supposed to drop down 30 degrees. So global warming, yay! Anyway, I have a couple comments about episodes 12 and 13 of season 2 that I want to touch base on before we start this episode and get into this final match. So Gracie Contadoit TB 7885, I'll never get the name right. It's fine. Grace says, I agree that the things are not as tense as before. I've commented for episode 12 that Taichi not talking so much is a sign of improvement on his part, but this also applies for the whole team. In the beginning, Tsutomu and Taichi were thinking exactly the same thing, and here there was a whole silent communication between Chihaya and Kana. They're a more mature team now, so they don't need as much talking. The cries of support are still important, but now they're more in sync and can understand a lot about each other without uttering words aloud. I do think that's an interesting point to bring up. I'm a communications major, communications and English, so for me, and I coach a team, and in coaching a team, communication is very important. I do agree that the silence when they're all a more mature team and supporting each other is really fine, as long as the intent with that silence is communicated appropriately. And I feel like, for example, Chihaya and Kana in episode 12, they can just a hand on the shoulder and they make that eye contact. That eye contact is so important because it helps communicate like, hey, I'm here with you. We good? And we're good. My thing the last couple episodes with Taichi particularly is that Taichi isn't looking at Chihaya. He's looking away. He's putting the hand on the shoulder. He's holding the hand, but he's not looking at her. And I'm like, look at her so she knows. He's doing the stoic white knight in shining armor look away moment. And I'm like, look at her, damn it. And let her know, right? Arata would be looking at her. Just saying. So that's my qualm with Taichi. At the moment, maybe he'll pick it up for the next couple episodes and the rest of the season. Then we have the translation for episode 12's poem from Foranoda, saying, our poem of the day is My Only Thought. Poem 98 was written by Fujiwara no Ayataka. Foranoda's note, in order to ensure legibility, I decided to change the capital I to a lowercase I to prevent confusion with the lowercase l. A pupil of Fujiwara no Shunzei, poem 83. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mostow translates the poem as, in the evening, when the wind rustles the oaks, at Nara no Ogawa, it is the ablutions that are the only sign it's still summer. Ablutions? Ablutions. I think it's ablutions. What in the world is ablutions? I feel the English major in me is like, what is ablutions? The act of washing oneself. Interesting. Word of the day, ablutions. It is the act of washing oneself that is the only sign it's still summer. Ablutions. Word of the day. Oh, the word ablution or misogi means... I should have kept reading. That means the Shint ceremony of purifying the body before worship by washing or sprinkling with water. Feels very much like Catholicism. One of my friends is Catholic, and we went to like Christmas mass with them, and I'm not Catholic, so I didn't get the wafers. But when he walked in, he did like the sprinkling of water and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's an ablution. Learned things today. Due to Japan's history of being grounded so deeply in Shinto, this practice is still relevant today. Isn't it funny how some religions cross over with their actions? Isn't that funny? In Shinto, people accumulate impurities through bad actions or traumatic events and have to expunge themselves through rituals to balance their lives. Mosto explains that misogi was also practiced during the author's time as a way for making up for or purifying oneself after an illicit affair. Oh! The poem depicts a hot, humid summer, or Zancho, which comes after a monsoon season in June and July. Oh, I live in a very humid part of the Midwest, so I understand this feeling a lot. Having lived in Hong Kong in the summer, I can safely tell you it is insufferably hot and humid. I know what you mean. Humidity sucks. To the point where you take refuge inside random shops to bask in air conditioning. As such, the poem gives off the impression that the summer is coming to an end and only ablutions remain. Interesting. The poem is used in the episode when Kana taps Chihaya on the shoulder and reminds her that their summer is coming to an end and that their few final games will define their experience. That said, the tone in which Kana takes is very gentle, almost refreshing or relieving Chihaya of any mental burdens before facing Megumu and helping her focus on the nearby finish line. Yeah, Kana's reassurance is very gentle and refreshing. I will say, Taichi's actions in the last episode kind of are similar to Kana's in that they are like very cooling, but his feels more of like a rigid, firm kind of cooling, like just like, I'm here for you, which I love. I love Taichi being there for Chihaya. It just makes me kind of sad that he's sort of distancing himself because he doesn't want to come across as coming on too strong. And I'm like, Taichi, just be yourself. Just be yourself. Just be honest and be yourself. That's all you need to do. And he just overthinks it so much. But then S Anime for episode 13. Thank you, Fornoda, for that translation. That's awesome. I love that. S Anime for episode 13 says, I think it's fine if Megumu doesn't want to be queen, but she needs to be motivated to do her best. It's interesting to see her waver a bit in this episode because of Chihaya. I wonder if deep down she wants to be queen, but she holds herself back. And I think that's a really cool observation. I hadn't thought of it that way, but I really like that. I like the idea that Megumu maybe, and by the end of episode 14, she's kind of like, yeah, I think I kind of want to keep playing Karuta. I want to keep going and being queen. And it's this match with Chihaya and them that kind of, ignites that spark within her, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, so thank you all so much for the comments and the kind words. S Anime was like, I see you're getting onto Taichi. And I'm like, look, I'm like this mangaka. I will get onto Taichi until he stops making me get onto him. And that's where I stand. So I will say this. Next week, we are going to have, I'm going to just watch episode 41, which is episode 16 in my own time because it's a recap episode. The moderators did tell me about that. So next episode, it will say episodes 41 and 42, which is 16 and 17. But I'm going to watch episode 16 off screen because it's just a recap. Come back with you in the intro with all my notes, and then we'll dive into episode 17 proper. So there's that. But yeah, so thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. But yeah, we need to get down into this episode, y'all. All right, we're not going to waste any more time. We are going to start episode 15 of season 2 of Chihayafuru. And we are going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's do it to it. I just shouldn't be surprised at this point. I come into Chihayafuru thinking, okay, this is the episode before the recap, so it'll probably just be a setting up episode to get us ready for the finale. And what does Chihayafuru do? It sets it up and gives us so much to talk about. I was like, oh my gosh, you can't go into Chihayafuru thinking that it's going to be a casual laissez-faire episode. It's just not possible. So there was a lot of things this episode brought up that I was wanting to talk about, and then the episode got to it, and I was like, you're stealing my discussion points, but we're going to talk about it in this and just tie in because I'm actually really excited about this match. We talked a few weeks ago how in some sports anime, the semifinal match is more exciting than the final, but I don't know. I might be eating my words just a bit because the setup of who is versus who is actually really intriguing and has a lot of potential. And I'm like, okay, I may be 100% wrong and this finale may be really, really, really good. So, okay. So, wow, this episode was surprise after surprise, and there's parts of it I really enjoyed. There's one part of this whole damn episode that just makes me so mad, and this mangaka knows what they're doing. They know they're intentionally doing it, and they're just doing it to just get under our skin. And I'm like, you need to stop. You need to stop with this. That's torture. How dare you? So, but we'll get to that point. It won't take us very long. So Kana, I talked about it in the OP, but last episode, whenever Kana was like, oh, I can't do this, you're going to have to take my place, Scuba, I was like, but why, Kana? And now, with the episode revealing that she had a jammed finger, I'm like, okay, that makes 1,000 more sense. Which, if you've ever had a jammed finger before, it sucks. It's not unbearable. So when she's like, oh, I'm fine, I believe that because Kana's a tough girl. And jammed fingers are not the end of the world. It's not like a broken bone. However, it could lead to a sprain, which Empress was very responsible to point out. And also, it's one of those things where you just can't do it. Even if she wanted to play, even if she wanted to. And of course, she's like, this reader is amazing. We're going to talk about that damn reader. I have two things I have qualms with in this episode. That damn reader is one of them. I'm like, show why. So, because life's not fair, that's why. But anyway, so it's a nice little subversion because I've watched sports anime where a character has gotten injured and the character's like, oh no, but I can play, it'll be fine. And the coach is like, well, you're one of our best players, so yeah, we're just going to put you on in even though you have this debilitating injury that could lead to something really bad happening down the road. That's the thing. The jammed finger isn't the end of the world. It's not like a torn ACL or like a fracture, like a back injury or something. Looking at you, Slam Dunk. But it's like, it's something that is going to be a detriment to them playing. So a responsible coach would be like, no, you're not going to hurt yourself. Get out. And I think that that's kind of what I think that the coach for Fujisaki, which we'll talk about her, love her. She's amazing already. I'm like, okay, girl, live. But I think that it's one of those things where, no, you have an injury, you have a sign of weakness, you have more days down the road in which you can play. Let's go. Which the coach for Fujisaki, she has layers upon layers already. And I am wholly into her. I'm like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So we're going to get into that. But yeah, I appreciate that the Empress is like, no, Kana, you're hurt. You do need to sit out. You're not, this injury is going to do no good for you in the final. You just need to sit it out. And I'm glad that that's actually a healthy choice a coach and a student athlete should make, right? You should not push yourself. It's one of the things whenever student athletes are like, this is my last game and I don't care if I play in the future, I'm going to play now. And I'm like, as somebody that has a physical injury that has manifested itself over years of me being like, it's fine. Nope, don't do it. Don't do it. It makes me madder now. Like I rewatched something with Slam Dunk for the channel last week, and I was just like, yeah, okay. But now it hurts even worse, right? So Kana is out. So we need to establish, we have a lot of fun stuff going on here. So Kana is out. Kana is out on injury, as she should be. I love Kana. She's put so much into this match so far, but she really needed to be out. It just needed to be. And honestly, here's the thing with Sumire. I love Sumire as a character, but she is not 100% invested yet. That's my thing with her. She's not invested. I'm hoping after this final she gets invested and she decides that this is something she wants to pursue and get better in. So, but she's not invested. And in a final match, you've got to have investment. Like Scuba, at least. Scuba, I think, had the intent of wanting to go in because he knew Kana was tired. He just didn't realize that there was more to it than that. And Scuba wants to win. He wants to prove himself. He wants to do well for the team. He's invested. So it makes sense for him to go in. And his opponent seems interesting. So yeah. But yeah, I do like that Chihaya was the first person to be like, get out of the way. Let me go help Kana. And Kana saying we should consider ourselves lucky it wasn't you that it happened to. Again, that does put pressure on Chihaya, which makes me a little nervous, but Chihaya handles it well. She's like, we're set up to win. Let's move forward. I feel like there's different ways you can push players to move forward and be motivated. And there's a good way to do it and a bad way to do it. And a good way to do it is to support them and give them that push to be like, hey, I know I'm injured, but I have faith in us. This is set up for us. It's okay. We've still got this. It's fine. That kind of reassuring motivation that Kana does really well is how you do it. You compare that to last season when Taichi was like, hey, this is all on you. You've got to be in the game. That's not the right way to go about it, because you're putting pressure on the ace being like, you have to do this. You have to do it. And it's like, that's a lot of uncalled for pressure that can make somebody kind of like fall out and crash out. Whereas Kana's is like, we, not you, Chihaya, but we are good. The team is good. We're all behind you. We're fine. We're going to make it. Like, there's different ways that you have to, like, it's subtle language differences that can make all the difference in motivating somebody. And Kana does it right here. I do think it's interesting. Sumire points out that Scuba always lies, because he does lie. But I feel like even though Scuba kind of lies, there is a good intent behind him. He wants to prove himself. He wants to play for the team. He has a good intent behind it. He's not doing it out of being malicious, but it is a lesson for Scuba that you need to stop lying. You need to start like just being a reliable player and being a team player and accepting when you're not played, rather than trying to like go behind your team's back, because it's just not a good look. Her lie was completely different from mine. Yeah, Kana's lie was to help people, and Scuba's lies have been to help himself. That's the key difference. So yeah, but yeah, Kana's so graceful. I love her. I also love the Empress saying, you know, Oe and Kamano seem like Tsutomu and Kana seem so soft and delicate, but they are so reliable. And I just love how this season has been giving them their flowers. I'm like, yes, please. Yes, please. 100% please. They deserve it. They deserve all the praise. But poor Kana. So yeah, and then I'm giving them the push that Chihaya needs. So let's skip this intro and get into this. No matter where I stand, the whole situation, I didn't realize that I was coming to this episode wearing Hokuo colors, here to support Hokuo. Wasn't expecting it. Love it. Also, Retro-kun thinking Pseudo's gonna spank them. I'm like, oh my god. Please, sir, may I have another? No. But the whole thing was Pseudo being like, you're gonna run back home. I got so focused for you to lose. I got so this to you to lose. We'll go back to it. I freaking love Pseudo. But my one of my two complaints of this episode, and this mangaka knows exactly what they're doing, is the miscommunication between everything, where the guy's like, oh, Arata came to cheer you on, and Retro-kun's like, why the fudge would he cheer me on? What? Now, granted, I'll give it a pass this episode, because it ended up leading Retro-kun to Arata to tell them about Chihaya and Taichi, and it led to a chain of events where basically what ended up happening, I'll give the series a pass. This mangaka knows what they're doing, this damn miscommunication that makes me want to fly out a building. But basically, the one observer got it wrong and assumed that Arata was coming to watch Hokuo. So he told Retro-kun about Arata wanting to cheer them on, which Retro-kun was like, why would Arata be here to cheer me on? We're rivals. Does he even know that I'm playing? Which, no, he didn't, by the way. And then that caused Retro to realize, Retro was pretty perceptive, to realize that Arata was here for Chihaya and Taichi. He was able to realize that, and he probably found out what happened to Arata. So the one good thing is, if Arata gets to the point where he doesn't have enough in him to go and see Chihaya and Taichi, which he would have seen him in a heartbeat if he hadn't been told he would be punished, right? But the question is, do you think that Arata is going to... Do I think Arata is going to see Taichi and Chihaya this season? Maybe in the individuals match. Maybe. My one complaint with Arata is the same that some others have had with him. I think Alexander Q pointed this out, and I agree with it. My one criticism of Arata is that he is not manned up, and I say manned up in the most feminist way possible, equal on both ends. Chihaya can man up, Kana can man up, whatever. But that is to say, he has not mustered up the gumption to just go up to Arata and Taichi, to Taichi and Chihaya and have a conversation with them. He just hasn't been able to do that. And it's frustrating for us, the audience, because we know that all three of them want to see each other and communicate, but it's just not happening, and it's frustrating, right? So do I know if Arata will interact with Taichi and Chihaya in this season? Who knows? Who knows? The circumstance of events may prevent that from happening. Who knows? Who even knows? But I think that if it doesn't happen, if it gets to where Arata cannot interact with them, then I think that Retro-kun at least knows what's been going on and at least knows the gist of it, that he can inform them if they don't see him. They're like, oh, well, he was punished for such and such, because Retro-kun seems like the type of person that he would get the scoop, right? He would need to know the tea. So anyway, he realizes that. Then he goes to tell Arata, be like, hey, there was this miscommunication, just so you know. They're you should root for them because they're, here facing in the final. And then from there, that causes Arata to know that what's going on. But because Arata can't go, and honestly, this is where Hosoya, who plays Arata, his voice sounds so young in this series, because it is from 2013. It's from a while ago. It's from 12 years ago. His voice sounds super young, but there was a moment when he gets frustrated and his voice gets a little bit more deeper and gravelly, and I'm basically getting my Haikyuu fan out, and I'm like, yes, please, that's always at the wings. Whenever he does that, I was like, oh, there's Hosoya. There's Reiner. There's Reiner from Attack on Titan. There he is. There he is. So I'm like, there's Sosuke from Free. There he is. So whenever his voice got a little deeper and gravelier, I was like, ooh, all right. So I need that to happen more often, please. I need Hosoya to get into that emotional voice acting just a little bit more. He's very subdued with Arata, which is fine. But then Arata knows what's going on. And so then Arata asks Shinobu to go instead. And which Shinobu does! Yes! I like that Arata's like, look, I can't go. Will you please go for me and go cheer them on? And Shinobu's like, why would I do that? But Shinobu does like Chihaya. And I feel like Shinobu wants to see Chihaya perform. And she wants to maybe check out Rion. Who knows? But I like that Shinobu's like, fine, I'll go for you since you can't go. I feel so bad for you. All right, whatever. And to go see. So yeah, it all worked out. Just the fact that we have to go through all of these steps with the miscommunication, I'm like, is this a damn soap opera? Fine. But anyway, also Arata realized that Retro-kun is still playing Karuta, which is fun. That's good to know. So yeah, I love Pseudo being like, are you ready to bunny hop down the Tokaido on the way home? Pseudo just being like, what did I tell you? I freaking love it. I love Pseudo being so icy. And he's like, I was a fool. I was convinced you'd make it to the final, so I wasn't watching. I was convinced you'd make it to the final, so I wasn't focused. And they're all like, but I am glad y'all didn't spoil me, because I did not realize that they get a consolation match. So I guess, I don't know if it's traditional that you get a consolation match with the two losers of the semifinal, that they have like, who's going to get third. I guess you have to. Yeah, you have to know who gets third place. Yeah, that would make sense. So you're going to obviously have first and second, which is going to be either Mizusawa or Fujisaki. One of them's going to win. One of them's going to get the silver. But I guess for third place, the bronze, you have two teams that have the same scores, like Megumu's team and Hokuo. They both have won up until that one loss. So now they have to face each other to see who's third place and who's fourth place. And I think the thing that made me not realize that is that we never made it this far last year. Mrs. Awa didn't make it this far last year, so we didn't know that that's how it worked. So that's fun. That's fun. So yeah, the final lineup, there's no reason to change the lineup. We know our best player, and they're like, don't you know, Sakurazawa. Sakurazawa is the coach. Freaking love her. Her style is that she switches for a younger player in the final. Honestly, I'm not surprised by this, and it's honestly a brilliant strategy. It's a brilliant strategy for a number of reasons. So let's write her on the board here. Let's get, we're going to put Sakurazawa over here. I like her a lot. Sakurazawa is our coach for Fujisaki, and she swaps in a younger player for the final. I mean, here's the thing. I'm not surprised by that, and that's actually a really good coaching move for a number of reasons. One, you only need 3 wins in a team match to get the championship. You just need 3. So she even talks about, she's like, I could have swapped in another freshman if I wanted to. I only need 3 of my seniors to win, and your seniors are all A-class players who are top of their game. I mean, she kind of was playing it safe just swapping in Rion. She's like, I could have swapped in another one, but whatever. So, I mean, the 4 people, she just said the 4 people that she'd been playing with hadn't lost a match yet, so she's not worried about them. Now, it is a little risky that she left in the guy that lost against Hokuo. We'll talk about that. It's a little risky. She could have swapped him out, but she left him in. So, I mean, he is against Scuba, so is he going to lose? Probably not, but he could against Scuba. If Scuba's motivated enough, he very well could. We'll see. But yeah, she's like, I just need 4. I need 3 wins. I'm guaranteeing myself 4. Sure, swap in this player. The other thing is the person she swaps with, now it all makes sense. I thought Rion was just a scout to give Sakurazawa information. No, she was putting her up and coming ace in the wings. And it's like, watch Chihaya play. Watch how she plays. You're going to face her. Check her out. See her move. See what she does so that you can play against her and win. That's freaking smart. That's just really smart, right? And you can't really do that with Chihaya. Chihaya is not observant. I love Chihaya. I'll stand Chihaya all day long. But Chihaya is not observant like Sumire or Tsutomu or even Kana. She's just not observant like that. That's not her style. So if you took Chihaya out and had her do what Rion did, I don't think it would be as effective because that's just not how she plays. Whereas Rion seems like a kind of calculating person. Do I think Rion is going to win? Probably, because I think the cards are stacked in her favor. She got to watch Chihaya play, so she knows her style. She hasn't played any matches so far, so she's fresh, has all the energy in the world. And her grandmother is the reader. What? Her grandmother's the reader? That was my other issue with the episode. I'm like, that seems not fair or should be legal. I do not think that immediate family, especially in the final, we talked about this with Pseudo being the reader for Hokuo, that is an unfair advantage. I'm sorry, but it is. It's an unfair advantage. You know that Pseudo has been a reader for Hokuo during their practice matches, so they're used to him, they're used to his voice, they're used to the cadence of it. The whole game is hinging in some way on how the reader reads the cards and how you hear it, so that's an automatic advantage. Yes, and then 2, you have this girl whose grandma is the reader. You think she hasn't practiced in front of her grandma? You think her grandma, that's a certified level 7 reader, hasn't read for her granddaughter before? Are you kidding me? No, that's such bullshit. The only thing that was interesting was that when Shinobu walked by them, she noted that they couldn't hear her. And she's like, oh, you couldn't hear me walk by? Really? Chihaya would have noticed in an instant. So Chihaya has good ears. And Shinobu respects that. And she commented on how Fujisaki did not hear her. So in Shinobu's eyes, they're not even worthy, which is insane that the champion team, Shinobu's like, oh, you plebeians couldn't hear me coming? Whatever. So I don't know. I just, if Rion beats Chihaya, I won't be surprised. Even though they're trying to build up being like, oh, she's a new player. She's got talent, but she's only class B and Chihaya's class A. The cards are stacked in Rion's favor. They are stacked in Rion's favor threefold. She's fresh, has all the energy. She has been watching Chihaya, and her grandma's the reader. There's like 3 strikes against Chihaya right there alone. I'm like, oh. The only way that it would be interesting, I would love for Chihaya to beat Rion. I really would. Especially because Chihaya lost against Megumu. I feel like it could go either way. I would love for Chihaya to win and to like basically avenge her loss against Megumu. But the cards are stacked against her. I'm like, that feels so illegal. It should be illegal in a final match for you to have immediate relation to the reader. The reader should not be from the same team you are on, and they should not be it's kind of like when we judge speech tournaments. I can't judge, even once they graduate from the school that I coach. If they go on to play for another school, I can't judge them. There's an unspoken, it's not unspoken. There is a rule when you go to a tournament. If there's any competitor that you have ever coached, you cannot judge them because there's just an unfair bias there. You know them. You have personal connections with them. It will make a decision in your judging. You just can't not say that it won't, right? So when we go to tournaments, they're like, have you ever coached any of the players on other teams? And you have to put down other players you've coached. And if you've coached them, they will make it to where you don't judge them. That should be a rule in Karuta. I'm sorry, but if you're an alumni and you competed with those players, you should not be a reader for them in a final match. Like, I get that they don't have a lot of readers. It's really hard to be a reader. But in your final match, if you have a team going in that's like the number one in the country, obviously, it's assumed they're probably going to be in the final. Don't set your readers up to be related to them. I'm like, that pissed me off because it's just stacking the cards against them. With this mangaka is doing that on purpose. So they're debating. I like that the short blonde, Bob Blonde, I'm going to call him Bob Blonde for now. He's like, who's going to be dropped? Is it going to be the one guy for being the single loss against Hokuo? I want to go back and see. I'm going to go back and look real quick. Who were they facing? Who were they facing in that match? I want to see who won. Who won from Hokuo? That's what I wanted to see. Hold on. I'm going to go back to episode 14 and see who are we facing. Okay, I want to look. I just need a screenshot. Okay. So that was, okay, Ness. Ness won. Ness was the only win. Okay. Ness was the only win for their team, which he's the captain. That makes sense. Okay. Nope, that makes sense. And he's the one that faced Chihaya, right? So yeah. Or did he face Kana? I think he faced Chihaya, though. Yeah, he faced Chihaya. So he's like, is the one guy. And then it's the one twin. They're out. So Manada is out. Yep. Honestly, I think that there's a good reason for that. So we talk about Manada is out. And the reason for it is out for their knees. Their knees support wasn't as good as it should be. Okay. I think that she's not lying. And she says as much. She's like, I want him to be able to compete in the individuals match. So responsible, good for her, being a responsible coach, being like, take out the injured person who's not good on their feet. Let them rest for tomorrow. Bye. That was smart. But the other reason is it's his twin. So Kanata is going to be motivated to do well, to avenge their twin, to do well for their twin. So it's a twofold motivation. She's like, I want to keep you strong for the individuals match, and I want your brother to be more motivated. So that's why I'm doing it. I mean, is that kind of like a bit sinister? Well, yes, but she is no nonsense. I love her. I love her as no nonsense. And then she's like, Yamashiro Rion, you're in. Okay. And they're like, we knew it would be Yamashiro. Also, I respect this woman because she has got a really hard task ahead of her. A really hard task ahead of her. And we're going to talk about this. The core of their next team. She's like, finals are the best opportunity to learn. So, and I 100%, whenever we have team members that don't break into finals, I'm like, you need to go watch a final. You need to go see these people perform. You need to see what you're up against, what you can learn from them, how you can get better. Like that is literally it, right? So Rion, I do think the blonde is in love with her. I do think that. I freaking love it. So here's the thing. What a tsundere romance. He's like, they're frightening. I figured she'd be chosen. The third years are all in love with her. I'm like, are you sure it's not you? Because at first I was like, oh, there's a harem. And then I was like, wait a minute. The way you're acting, I'm like, yeah, you sure it's not you? You sure it's not you that's not in love with her? It's kind of funny because it's sort of the polar opposite of Tai Chi. It's the polar opposite of Taichi and Chihaya. Whereas Taichi and Chihaya, Taichi is in love with Chihaya, is very open about that love, and is very much like, yeah, I'm in love with her. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Whereas this character, the blonde, is like, me? In love with her? Who would be in love with her? She's just copying my hairstyle. Why would she be in love? Like, very tsundere, and I'm like, oh, It's so interesting how opposite it is, right? Like, and she's copying my hairstyle. I'm like, it's frightening. So yeah, she's like, I was watching the match. And yeah, this blonde is so tsundere. They're like, you don't get to talk to third years that way. How dare you talk down to us? And blah, blah, blah. You know, you should have refused to play. We don't need you to win. And I'm like, they're like, why are you all so soft on Rion? Isn't it creepy how she never shows emotion? And she's like, but if I play, we can win for sure. I wasn't the one who took Minata out of the lineup. It's like, I know that, you Iron Mask. The scariest person in Fujisaki is the coach. I really love it. Honestly, Rion gives me vibes of like if Chihaya was stone-faced all the time. Because I think Rion is passionate. Rion is clearly like loves Karuta. I feel like Rion loves Karuta. I love Rion's confidence. I love that Rion's like, we'll win, it'll be fine. Rion is kind of like if Chihaya just took like a whole fistful of Ambien and just went with it. Just like, it's fine. It's kind of, or not Ambien, like Xanax probably. Yeah, I don't take any of those, so I'm a little not up on my med terminology. But yeah, if Chihaya just took like 3 Xannies, that'd be Rion. But yeah, I mean, I wish Chihaya had as much. I mean, I feel like Chihaya has the confidence of Rion, but she does get down and unassured of herself. Rion saying that with her there, they'll win for sure. I'm like, do you know your grandmother's the reader? Anyway, I feel like the mangaka is setting us up with little hints and clues that that Mizuzawa is going to lose. But here's the thing, though. The coach is like, we're fine this year. It's just next year that's the problem. And man, that sentiment is so understandable. Because the thing is, I get where she's coming from. She's like, this year we have 5 amazing, like, third years who are so good that I don't have to play. She's like, the 5 years are so good, I would be stupid not to play them instead of the first and second years if we want to win. But because I'm playing them and not the first and second years, the first and second years don't get the experience, so they're not as good and they're not as motivated. And so next year what happens is when they're all gone, she's like, I'm going to have to work twice as hard to try to get the talent up to snuff. And the only one that's probably going to be really good is Rion, but she's not very emotional, so she's not exactly like leader material. So then what do I do? Who's going to be leader? How's that going to work? And that's a real pickle to have. And I understand because I coach a team where when you have a really good set of upperclassmen and then they leave, filling that gap is hard. Filling that gap's really hard, especially if the underclassmen don't want to step up or aren't confident enough to step up. That's really hard. And you set yourself up to just not have a great year the next year and having to build up from scratch. She's like, I could have taken out another third year, but... So then the one, Mochita comes by to talk to her. I like how the one coach for Akashi, Akashi, she was just like, she had no business with him. But then Mochita, she's like, oh, hey. Like, you seem like you're not overwhelming. And I like these, like, she's like, well, most people would never take out a third year for the final. But you have to admire Minata. I like how the one brother was trying to convince him to go back in, being like, just say your knees aren't that injured. But I think Minata knows. I think Minata's like, yeah, my knees are injured. She did make the right call, but he's really mad about it. We went through all that grueling practice. She's like, I expect him to perform well in the individual tournament tomorrow. I don't have her strength and conviction to utilize the hopes of the third years to win the final. She is like, what I like about her is that she's very much like, here's how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to win. And it's going to be strict. It's going to be strong. That's what we have to do. But she's doing it because I like how calm and confident she is in doing it, because that's how you have to go about it. You can't be, she doesn't yell. She doesn't like get in people's faces. She's not overbearing. She's just like, no, this is how it's going to be. And that's the way that we win. Like, I love that self-assuredness that she has. So yeah, so I love that they wear the Hoko shirts. And then the self-made replica, of course, Retro Coon's girlfriend, Nishida's sister, she made the replica. I love that. That's so adorable. And the red bows to match. That's so cute. I love that so much. So yeah, and then Kana with her like finger splint. I love that she's sitting there being like quoting the poetry against the moon, feeling so sad. Like, I feel for Kana. I really do. So yeah, also Tsutomu having all the accuracy. Tsutomu predicting everything, being like, I know what's going to happen in the lineup. Like, Tsutomu was on it. I'm actually amazing. I'm amazed by it. He's also like, think of it as playing against 5 pseudos. And I like Chihaya and Nishida are like, nope. We don't like that. So, okay. So we have our players. We have Ryoga, who is the captain. And Ryoga is going to be up against Taichi. And so everybody has their own motivations for playing, which we'll get to. Then we have Ichimura, who we have Mitsuki. Mitsuki is going to be up against Scuba, which we're going to talk about. Then we have Suzuki, we have Manada and Kanata. What twin names? Manada and Kanata for our identical twins. I think it's kind of cool that they split the twins up. Usually in sports anime, they put them together. But here they're split up. That's kind of a cool choice. I like it's kind of fresh. So we have Kanata. And Kanata is versus Nishida. So we have that. Then we have Yamai, Makoto. So Makoto is the one that is facing Tsutomu. My crack ship has sailed. My crack ship is here. Yes, please. And then we have Rion versus Chihaya. Get that right. Ayase Chihaya. We have Chihaya versus them. Yep. Okay, the 2 young aces. Nice. Our second-year aces. They have a vague order that's based on their personalities. And so they're probably going to change out. They're going to drop it for a younger player. And a boy will be replaced by a girl. I think it's interesting where Makoto is like, the girls are scarier than the guys. I wonder if Makoto was saying that specifically about Rion. I mean, I ship Makoto and Rion. Do not get it twisted. We can multi-ship in the world of Chihayafuru. I am multi-shipping and getting Makoto with both Tsutomu and Rion so good. And Tsutomu, before this season, was kind of the more like stone-faced, emotionless person, but now has changed so much, which they showed emotion in the first season. I don't want to get that wrong. But I love Makoto. When Makoto says the girls are scarier than the guys, they were talking about Rion. Let's not get it twisted. Makoto was talking about Rion. And so then Taichi's like, wow, that one guy reminds me of Arata because he looks tall, dark, and handsome, Taichi. Is that right? He's the same build and wears glasses. I'm like, oh, Taichi. Oh, we're going to ship you with an Arata, huh? But this is the first time that Taichi has thought about Arata, you know, from before. He's like, was I focused on the team match? I'm like, yes, Taichi, you were doing smart things. Don't change that. So they go into the room, and Kana points out that Yamashiro Kyoko is a grade 7 certified reader and just happens to be Rion's grandma. Like, just, I do love both Kana and Minaka being like, we wanted to play so badly. And Sumire like, you bunch of weirdos. So yeah, so everybody gets together, and I like Chihaya saying, she's like, you know, I'm actually a greedy person. And everybody's like, we know! I like Chihaya being like, I don't know if you guys realized, but I am kind of greedy. And everybody's like, yes, we understand this. And she's like, compared to becoming queen, becoming the strongest woman in Japan, it's much harder for us to become the best in Japan together. And she's right. I feel like we've established in this series how it is difficult for everyone to grow at the same time. It's a lot easier for 4 other people to just pour their support and efforts into someone else's growth than to really focus on themselves. That's hard. So I like that she acknowledges that, and they're all like, oh, and she's like, then let's do it. I like Scuba opening up his eyes for that. That was great. She's like, we're in a fight. So she puts her hand in, and then like Scuba was right next to her, right? I feel like Scuba was right next to her. And so the order, oh no, it was Taichi. Okay. Taichi puts his hand on top of hers. That's sweet. Then Nishida, then Tsutomu, and then Scuba. Nice. Love that. And they're like, okay, let's do this. Mizuzawa fight. Yep. All right. So we have the matchups and them taking place. I just stupid that it's her grandma. Is that why she agreed to come? That seems like cheating if you ask me. And then, yeah, Makoto's like, you'll have a lot to answer for if you lose the number 1 seat. Here's the thing. I feel like Rion has maybe a crush on Makoto, or at least admires Makoto, and that's why she imitates his hairstyle. And Makoto just is too dumb to realize it. And then is having a tsundere moment, being like, I don't love her. And it's like, yes, you do. Yes, you very much do. So then from there, so yeah. So like, I don't know which girl they'll put in, but your goal is to become the strongest in Japan, right? And Shia's like, okay. So we get everybody set up in this, saying this was the biggest surprise that Taichi wanted to go up against Ryoga, which honestly, I feel like that's it. The matchups in there are really exciting. So we have Ryoga versus Taichi. Taichi is viewing this as a chance or an opportunity to face someone that's like Arata and to gauge how they could possibly do against Arata. Now, I think this is a little bit dangerous. I think it's very dangerous because is Ryoga the same as Arata? No, not necessarily. It's just all in Taichi's head that they are the same. Ryoga, from what we've seen in the background, is not like Arata at all. He's like, I want to grab my coach's tits. And I'm like, oh my God, no, Arata would never be like that. Like, at all. And he's all about girls with big boobs. Like, he's kind of a pervert. And I'm like, Arata is the farthest from a pervert. So I'm like, no. So it's all Taichi judging Ryoga on his appearance and saying that he's like Arata for that reason. And I'm like, well, no. But I mean, I'll give Taichi a pass for it because what Taichi is trying to do is to be like, okay, look, if I can mentally take on somebody that gives me the impression of Arata and I can beat him, then that means that I have a shot against the actual Arata. Now, the problem with that is Ryoga is not Arata, and he's already hitting Taichi where it hurts, being like, oh, you're not class A rank yet? Like, you know, Arata would never do that. So I feel like, I'm like, Taichi, you've just walked into the lion's maw thinking that it's going to help you, but I don't know. I don't know. So I'm a little bit worried for Taichi. I'm a lot worried for Taichi because he's already overthinking and he's already like Ryoga instantly got under his skin. And I'm like, I don't feel like Arata plays that underhanded, you know? So maybe it'll work out for Taichi, but I'm really nervous for him. Then we have Scuba versus Mitsuki. They're both weird. They're both over the top. I do think, like, I'm worried for Taichi. I feel like Taichi's going to lose. Because Taichi's already in his head. He's trying to make Ryoga out to be Arata, which he is not. And I feel like that's going to go badly for him. I could be wrong. So I feel like Taichi's going to be the loser in that one. I feel like Scuba has a chance. I could be totally wrong. He might absolutely lose. I feel like Scuba has a chance because I feel like Scuba, we already know Mitsuki lost against the leader of Hokuo, so he already has a loss under his belt. I feel like Scuba could take advantage of that. Scuba's kind of a sadist, like Pseudo, so maybe, I feel like it's up in the air. I feel like he could win or lose, but I'm leaning towards maybe Scuba can win this, which would be a great motivator for the first year, winning in a final match. That'd be amazing. But then again, the first year winning in a final match, he probably is going to lose, but at least maybe it'll be a good experience. I don't know. That one's up in the air. I really want Nishida to win against Kanata. I think Kanata will be motivated. by his brother not being there, but they both want redemption for their, like, him losing his brother and Nishida losing against the player from Akashi's team, from Akashi, the girls, first girls. I think it's Akashi from their team. So I really want Nishida to win this. I think Nishida has the opportunity. I think the brother could get distracted by the fact that his other brother isn't there, and he might get too worked up in the moment. And I think Nishida's also good against male players. I feel like Nishida's just better against guys because Nishida just doesn't have that. He can just focus. I don't know. There's no other way to really say it, but I hope Nishida wins this one. He really needs to bounce back on there. Then Rion versus Chihaya. I feel like Chihaya's going to lose. I feel like Chihaya and Taichi are going to lose and have to commiserate in their losses and make up for it in the individual tournament. I feel like that's what it's setting up. But I feel like Rion has the advantage. Rion just has the advantage on all fronts, which sucks for Chihaya because I'm like, what? Come on now. Then the big wild card then is Makoto versus Tsutomu. That's the wild card. And I want Tsutomu to win so bad, but I don't know. I feel like Makoto's really good and will probably, I mean, it's a Class A versus Class C ranked match, you know? And also the same thing with Suguba. You have a Class nothing versus Class A. So, I mean, the odds are against them. But here's the thing. I feel like these winner loses, I could be totally wrong. The series could let Taichi win this match against Ryoga and kind of overcome himself and grow as a player. That'd be amazing. I want Taichi to win. I want him to overcome this feeling he has about playing Arata. I would love for him to realize mid-match that this guy is not Arata. He needs to stop comparing people to Arata and just focus on himself and grow that way. That'd be amazing. I hope that that happens, but I don't know if it will or not. But yeah, I also love the fact that when Makoto goes up against Tsutomu, is like, oh, hey, Mr. Spy. Like, you know, he's like, well, you should stop blowing your bangs when you're in trouble. And that's what got me, is Tsutomu's so, like, calm and collected and focusing on, like, what has gotten Makoto flustered. And Makoto's flustered about the whole being in love with Rion thing now, that maybe Makoto getting thrown off their game will let Tsutomu win. I don't know. I don't even know. We'll see about that. So then we go to, okay, Akashi. Thank you, Akashi versus Hoko. So Retro went to go tell Arata about the others, and then Shinobu's like, okay, we're dry now. We're totally good. She takes off her clothes. Her undergarments are a camisole and pantaloons, the most ugly, hideous PJs I've ever seen in my life, with Tsutomu, with Snowmaru on them. Oh my god. Girl has no shame. She has no shame. I also love that the one guy is like, why are you changing in front of us? And Arata is like a stone statue being like, I don't have time to deal with this. It's so funny. Give us a warning. So then Retro-kun comes in. Retro-kun has a girlfriend, so he doesn't have to worry about Shinobu. But he comes in like a freaking specter to talk to Arata. And Arata's like, oh, hey, Retro-kun, he's still playing Karuta. Arata is so oblivious sometimes. Bless. He's like Chihaya. He's like, Mashima and Chihaya are playing to become the best in Japan. That's all. And then he's like, you should go watch them. And then he just eases away. I live. That was amazing. I love it so much. But yeah. And so then Shinobu's like, oh, that's funny about him talking about being the first in Japan when it's a match between high school students. I'm impressed. And then Arata, like, just zooms past her and she's like, oh, you're actually really serious about this. She's like, why aren't you going? I love that she's like, why aren't you going? Didn't you say you were going to? And he's like, if I go, I'm going to get in trouble. Shinobu being the shoulder devil. And she's like, oh, so you do care about the individual tournaments. And I'm like, well, of course Arata does. Arata cares about both. You can care about both, Shinobu. Bless. And the one guy is trying to encourage him to go. And I'm like, you're the one that got him in trouble in the first place. Stop it. He's like, I'll be incurring the wraths of the gods, Shoji. Like, I love whenever Arata said that, his voice got so gravelly and deep. I was like, yes, please. Yes, Hisoya, come through. He's like, they're playing to be the best in Japan, so I have to do my best too. And Shinobu's like, whatever. And then she just strips down to those horrible Snomaru pants. Oh my god. Her PJs are so gaudy, my girl. My girl! She loves that Snomaru though. Loves him. I like Shinobu and Arata as friends and rivals. I do not get any chemistry between them from a romantic shipping aspect. I get none of it. They're just like, he's not even facing her. Like, there's just no shipping there. There's no chemistry. So she's like, I'm so nervous about the tournament tomorrow. I need to go home. And that's when Arata's like, hey, won't you watch some of the team match for me since I can't go? And she's like, your presence would ease some of the players, by which we mean Chihaya. And she's like, oh, like I would. And then she leaves. So it's interesting that they're able to get their cards together and they're like able to, so there's no impassioned cards. So Chihaya's card can't be taken maybe, or maybe that's just maybe that's just Taichi's stack, but maybe they're not going to call any impassioned cards. So Chihaya's can't get taken. That's good, I guess. This will be a tough match for Chihaya. Another card against her. Girl, not only is the reader the one girl's grandma, not only is the one girl fresh, not only is the one girl watch Chihaya's at a disadvantage from the cards being used. I don't know. I would like to think, I mean, maybe Nishida, Tsutomu, and Scuba will lose their matches, and maybe Chihaya and Taichi will win theirs. I really want Taichi and Chihaya to win their matches so they can go in feeling good about tomorrow's individual matches. I really want that to happen, but I just don't know. The cards are stacked against both of them, and maybe that will make their victories that much better, but the cards are just stacked against them. And so they all leave except for Rion to go outside. All four of the guys leave. I like that Ness says, don't panic, Mizuzawa. And they're like, no, it's fine. We had to play 5 matches to reach the finals. The third years are also tired. They're going to leave their seats to avoid that memorization overload. I loved this idea that Karuta is all about remembering and forgetting over and over again. Like, that is such a daunting process, but I relate to it so much. You cannot, whatever you do in the last game doesn't matter. And that's the same way when I coach speech. Whatever you did in your last round, it doesn't matter. It's over. You've got to forget that. Forget that, move on to the next. Forget that, start fresh. Forget that, start fresh. It's just a mentality you have to have. And the more you do that, the better it is for you. And she's like, if I don't forget everything, I won't be able to defeat a fresh player in her first match. So then they're like, and Makoto's saying they're not strong to begin with, so of course she's not going to stretch. Makoto, you're fooling nobody. You're fooling nobody. Because then they're like, well, you know, it's creepy how she never shows emotion. Why is she so popular? And she's stuck in Class B. And then, sure, she's kind of cute. The moment Makoto said, sure, she's kind of cute, I'm like, sir, you are in love with her. And everybody else is like, we already have girlfriends. Even though Mitsuki's is an anime character, still, you know, he's like, no, I've been with Shining Rainbow-chan since spring season. And they're like, well, what about you, Aromu? And Aromu's like, she has the breasts of an infant. Aromu is, like, Ryoga is a pervert. I'm like, he's, like, just into women for their big boobs. And then when he said if he wins, he gets to, like, touch the coach's boobs, I was like, no, that's gross. Absolutely not. I hope that coach smacks him. Like, no. And then the one twin's like, isn't it because you're in love with Rion? And then Makoto has like the thump thump in their heart and the flowers. It looks like a shoujo. Yes. Yes. The answer is yes. Yep. That girl who has sharp ears and no sense of teamwork. I'm like, yeah, Makoto, you're in love with them. And then that's when Shinobu passes by. And they're like, I didn't hear any footsteps. And she's like, so this is the extent of the ears of the best team's players. That was such shade. Shinobu was like, oh, this is the best you got? Couldn't sense me coming? And to Shinobu, she's like playing as a team. She believes that it makes you weaker. She's like teamwork and being with these others doesn't make you as sharp as you would be on your own. And she's like, why, Arata? Why do you want to be part of a team when you won't be able to live up to your full potential if that's the case? Because her and Suo aren't part of teams, and it's worked pretty damn well for them being the queen and the master. So she's like, I want to understand why this is so important to you, which I really like. I like that we're getting this in this episode between the two of them. And I'm glad she's gone to watch the team matches to try to figure out for herself, being like, what am I missing that Arata's seeing that I'm not? Because she respects Arata, and she respects his opinions. So she's like, why does he want to be part of a team? What's the benefit of that? I love it. So yeah, so we get back to everybody. They're checking the cards, getting ready. They all come back in. He's like, Taichi says, do all Kuruda players end up like this? Well, no. I want Taichi to win so badly, but I also, during this match, want Taichi to realize that Arata is not the end-all, be-all player. Like, there's still Suo. There's still Shinobu. I know for the Masters portion, it's like Arata and Suo, but I'm like, there's still so many other really good players. You don't have to match Arata. Arata is not the end-all, be-all, right? He's like, if I beat him, maybe things will change. And I'm like, that's the thing. I'm like, Taichi, if just because you beat Arata, just because you beat this guy, it's not going to change anything. It's you that matters. You have to change yourself for things to get better. And he's like, so are you still in Class B? Yeah, he drew a very big line right there between them. Mm-hmm. And then, he was hoping to play against Kana just to, like, stare at her boobs. This misogynist jerk. Get out. Ew. And then he's like, I'll go with pattern A, where I fantasize about the coach letting me feel her F-cup boobs if I win. I'm like, oh my God. No. Ew, gross. And then there's Makoto, who's having this stunning realization that they're in love with Rion and having to do that. Minata, the one brother's like, watch me play Minata. And then the one guy's like, which move should I do? He's like such an otaku. I love Mitsuki. He's an otaku. I love Scuba's like, what in the world? Also, the Ryoga guy like grabbing at boobs in the air. Arata would never. So yeah, I will say, the woman Yamashiro, the reader, the moment she started reading I'm with Kana, her voice was so beautiful. Like, it was clear like a bell. And I like Chihaya's like, okay, this is the final. This is it. Awesome. This feels real. This is great. There was one hot moment where Chihaya looked up and she saw like a little sprig between, like, there was a little twinge of emotion with Rion. And I was like, okay, I feel like Chihaya is going to bring out Rion's emotion. I feel like it's going to happen, right? And Shinobu's watching. Oh, I love it. All this is so good. I came into this episode thinking it wasn't going to be a big deal. And it ended up being amazing, so... This whole, like, prediction chart, you might as well just toss it out. Because I'm already, like... I want Taichi and Chihaya to win. I want Nishida to win. I would love for Scuba and Tsutomu. I would want them all to win, but are they going to win their matches? No. Do I think that Mizuzawa is going to beat Fujisaki? The fact that coach has set up that Fujisaki, this is like their last really good year, and then they've got to start from scratch and it's going to be hard. I feel like Fujisaki will win this year, maybe. But then next year, Chihaya and them will be third years. So I think that it would be theirs to take. So, but I don't know. That's not always a guarantee. Just because you're the senior players and you have experience does not always mean you're going to win. So, I mean, you can look at Shinobu and Suo as examples of that. Like, they clearly beat people who are masters who had more experience than them. So, it has to happen at some point. The torch has to pass at some point. So... I honestly, going into this match, have no idea how the matches are going to go. But I will say, compared to Akashi, I think the matchups with all of these players are really dynamic. and really intriguing, and I want to watch all of them happen and go down. Whereas like with the Akashi match, it was really Megumu and Chihaya. Like Megumu and Chihaya, the other girls on the team except for you didn't even know their names. So it's like, it didn't matter. You were just like, okay, well, whoever wins, whatever. It's you and Megumu, whose storyline we care about with Akashi, and then against everybody else. But here, everybody has a storyline. Everybody has a connection to the person they're facing. So it's really exciting and interesting. So we'll see. But anyway, I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. But next week, I'm going to look at episode 16, figure out what I want to recap, and then we'll watch episode 17 and react to it and discuss them together. So anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with more of Chihayafuru. And I'll see you then. Bye!